Coming up on episode 167 of Creative Writing, I'm talking about the best paid promotions when you are just starting out with your book.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. This is the place for you, a writer, blogger, or creative who wants to build an online platform without being smarmy. And I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant. I'm so thankful that you are listening here to the show. And this is going to be an episode that's going to talk about the best paid promotional sites or ways to promote your book when you're just starting out. And I love this question because I'm all about bootstrapping. So before I get into the details, there are not going to be show notes for this. I'm doing sort of summer episodes. You may be listening in December, but I'm recording this in July and there's kids everywhere in my house. It's wild. So I'm doing quick questions that you guys are asking. So quick answers. 2 quick questions in these quick episodes. And I am going to direct you to some other show notes. I am going to refer to some things that I talked about in episode 142. So if you want to find a lot of the links I'm going to talk about, just go to creativewriting.com/142 and you'll find a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today. And I think this will be a little bit shorter and a little bit more focused on just starting out with your book. So also there's going to be some information in the episode about whether or not you should promote your first book. And those are actually episodes 165 and 164. And the show notes for both of those, I put them in one. It's creativewriting.com/165. So 142 and 165 are going to help you kind of get some actual, like if you want to look at things and click on things. But yeah, let's talk about this. I want to talk about the best ways to pay and promote your book when you're just starting out. And I'm going to try to refer to fiction and nonfiction when I have one specific to the other. I'll kind of note that if I can. But I said in episode 142 that when you're just starting out, I do think the best promotion that you can get is through paid email services that email their giant lists about your book. Now, normally your book has to be on sale. There are very few that will email a full price book out. So it also requires putting your book on a promotion. Which you can do by manually changing your price, or if you're in Amazon KDP, which is like Kindle Select, means you're only publishing on Amazon. They have tools where every 90 days you can do a free promotion or a countdown deal where you change the price. So that requires setting all that up, these email promotions. You can also do Facebook ads and Amazon services ads, formerly AMS ads. However, the thing with those is first you got to learn it, and there's a learning curve. And you're just not as guaranteed. And so first, let me back up. Before you do anything to spend money on your book, is your cover professional? I feel like I keep coming back to this. If you haven't listened before, I've asked this a lot, but if your cover is not professional and if it does not match the genre you're writing in, then don't pay for promotion because you're not going to sell books. So you absolutely not, do you think it fits? Ask around. Actually maybe go to a critique group that knows something about marketing. Look at other books from authors. If you're an indie author, look at other indie author books. Does your book fit in? You don't want to stand out and like, mine is so different, everyone's going to notice it. No, they're not going to know what kind of book it is. Okay, so make sure your cover is good. Make sure your blurb is good, because otherwise you're going to just throw money down the toilet. You need to be really clear, like when readers glance at the cover and glance at a blurb, do they know what the book is about? So can your ideal reader immediately hook on to something and know that it's for them? Okay, so that's first. But I do think that the email promotions are better because it's already got to serve, an audience. It's serving an audience that they know is a book buying audience, and often they're segmented by genre. So that can really help you. Whereas AMS or Amazon Services ads and Facebook ads or BookBub ads, any of those require you to learn the system and test things to see if it works. And that can be a lot harder when you're just starting out. So let me talk about the best paid promotion sites, because I actually had a couple different questions. I had a few people ask about the best paid promotions, and then someone else ask about which promo sites for email, and when you're starting out, what should you spend? I always recommend thinking hard about spending your money when you have only one book. And here's why. So if you're putting your book down for 99 cents and then you're paying $70 for one of these paid promotional email services, You would have to sell a lot of books because at 99 cents, if it's through a Kindle Countdown deal, you'll still make your 70% royalty, but that's still pennies. And if you're manually changing your price to 99 cents, you're only getting 30 cents or something per book. That's, not good. So it's going to take an enormous amount of book sales, probably more than you would make in a day to make that $70 back. So you're not always getting back exactly what you make if you only have one book. A lot of times it takes having other books in a series or other books that people are going to read. And that's mostly fiction. Nonfiction, people, I don't think generally read those books as fast as like a romance reader. I read a book a day in romance. I definitely do not read nonfiction books quickly. Not because I can't, but because I don't want to. And then I don't go snap up another one. So it is really different. So you need to think about before you do this, just realize you may not make your money back. So you want to be really careful about which ones you're paying for. And that's why I wouldn't recommend Amazon services and Facebook ads as much because you have more to lose. So now that we've thought about all those things, is whether you have other books in the series or other books you've written, here's where you need to start. So if you're choosing, because I'm not going to give you guys a list because I can't, because it's based on this number one factor, genre. You need to ask the other authors in your genre which sites they use. And if you aren't connected with other authors in your genre, then get connected. There's a Facebook group for everything. Even things you think there shouldn't be a Facebook group for, they're there. And so there's YA groups, there's fantasy groups, there's sweet romance groups, there's all these kinds of groups. So join a group. Creative writing is probably not the best place. You could ask people, but we're very diverse in terms of the kinds of writers that we have. And it's, not the largest group. And because it's not focused in particular authors, you're probably not going to get that answer there. We could ask that certainly in the group. If you're not in the group, by the way, it's creativewriting.com/community. We can ask that, but we're a lot of different genres. So you're probably not going to get a lot of data. Go to groups and ask. So go to a group that's the same genre as you're in and ask people what worked for them. Or oftentimes they'll have, like, if it's a bigger group, they'll have an announcement or a pinned thread where they have links to posts where people have talked about this. So before you go and ask, look around and see if there's already information, or maybe there's a file in the files section of the group that already tells you this. Because sometimes in these big groups, if you ask a question that's already been answered 1,000 times, people get annoyed. So look first. Use that search bar in the group first. After that, you're going to weigh the ROI. Again, this is looking at whether you only have one book. If you're fiction or nonfiction, you're going to get more read through. You're going to get more, page reads if you're in Kindle Select. If you're doing nonfiction, it's really kind of just going to be on that one book. Can it make its money back? And so it's a little bit riskier to pay for these sites that have a higher price point. The sites, when I'm launching a book, I have sites that are $5 and sites that are, I think the most I've ever paid is $70. And there are only a few sites I would pay that much for, and it's because I've tested it. So you want to also subscribe to the email of the company that you might send with, because some of these do what I call truncating the email, which is to say that they have so many books they promote every day, or they allow you to select like 5 genres. And then if you're in 5 versus 1, if you're just one genre, you might get 1 book. If you're in 5, you might get 10 books. So they truncate, which is to say that you can't see all the books, and they'll have like a little click here to see all or see the full message, or it'll say in my inbox, it says message clipped. And this is interesting because from my understanding, part of this can be your inbox itself and what they clip. But I think some of it is also the settings or the way they have it set up or how big their images are when they're sending the emails, because I've gotten emails right next to each other from sites where one is truncated with like 7 books and then it says click to see more. And then one has 15 in the email and it's not clipped at all. So whoever settings those are, I want to know if the site has these truncated, because I don't want to pay anything if my book is not actually going to show up in the inbox. If someone has to click just to see the book, then they have to click to buy it, you're already cutting your sales. So I would not want to use one of those services. So subscribe and see what the email looks like. See if it gets clipped. Sign up for a couple genres if they allow you to as a reader and see what happens. That's important. Is it segmented by genre? There's a few of these sites that they don't. And then some of them are segmented and they can tell you, we have 10,000 readers in historical romance. We have 30,000 in YA. We have 15,000 in suspense, and they charge different amounts per genre. those are the better sites because they're charging you based on how many subscribers they have. And that's important to think about. And, for romance has a lot of different genres. Writing in sweet romance, if I'm paying to be inside of an email that's mostly steamy or erotica, I'm not going to get a lot of sales, or I'm going to get people who buy the book and then are disappointed because they were looking for something entirely different than what I'm writing in the Emma St. Clair books, because those are clean romance. So that's not going to be a good newsletter for me. The more drilled down into your niche you can get, the better. And then as you go past your first book, this is kind of a long-term game plan. Make a spreadsheet. And I will tell you, I hate spreadsheets. I hate them. I abhor them. I wish spreadsheets were not a thing, but I keep them because they matter and I don't want to waste my money. So if I can do it, even you can create a spreadsheet where you track. So I have a spreadsheet that's just called launch stats. And every time I have a new book, I put the dates for which service is sending things out, because I usually have between 7 and 15 different sites that I pay. And I try to stay under $200, but when I'm launching a book, I'll generally spend at least $200, sometimes between $200 and $300 on that book. And for me, I did not start out that way. Again, when you're just starting out, pay less because you're finding your footing as an author. You don't know how your read through is going to be, and you don't have as much of a backlist. Now I have 9 books out. So, when I sell one, like I had a promo this week, and one of my books that hasn't sold a copy, it's gotten page reads, but hasn't sold a copy in weeks, is now selling multiple copies a day because I promoted another book. That's what happens when you have a backlist of other books. So as you're going through time, track what's working, because I have found certain sites that people recommend, even in my genre, they don't bring results. So I'll be paying $70 and getting 20 books sold, whereas I'm paying $20 over at this other site and selling 70 books. So it's really important as you continue to track that yourself to see. So you're not just listening to what other people say, you're actually looking for yourself to kind of see what works. As far as what I wouldn't waste time on, I wouldn't waste time on trying to sell books on Twitter. Don't pay for a service, especially you could post on Twitter. Do not pay for a service that promises to tweet to its 50,000 emails, or whatever, Twitter followers. Don't pay for that. Don't pay for someone who's going to post to their Facebook page. The reach of those and the sales is it's not happening. Just research has shown it. Just trust me. I'm not going to link to a bunch of stuff. I'm just telling you, and trust me, y'all. Don't pay for sites that are going to post to a big Facebook page or to Twitter. I've already said that the Amazon services ads and Facebook ads take time and testing, or BookBub ads. Blog tours, a lot of different genres talk about these, but I've been listening to a lot of author conversations, and they will either say they were a waste of money altogether, especially if you're paying someone to put them together, or you're taking the time to send physical copies of books to bloggers. At the least, they were a waste of time and money. And at the most, some authors had a positive response to them and said that they gave their books exposure, but they didn't necessarily see book sales. But they felt that that was worth it, because then the people, potential readers are seeing your book in front of their eyes. And sometimes, in sales, it talks about how you need like 7 touch points to sell something. I don't know if that's true for books necessarily. I will say, when you start seeing a book a lot, I don't know about you, but I start becoming more interested because it's everywhere. Why is it everywhere? I should really look into this book that's everywhere. So there is something to be said for blog tours, but maybe don't just consider how much money you're dropping there, because I have not heard one author say they were good for sales. There's also booktubers, people on YouTube who are talking about books. I think generally, I have not researched this, but generally I think that they want physical copies so that they can show it visually. The same with bookstagrammers, which is people talking about reading on Instagram. They want physical copies. So is it going to be worth your money to actually send that person a physical copy of your book? And that's something important to consider. And I also have heard kind of the same thing as blog tours, that these are good for exposure, but they don't sell books, which is why, again, I recommend the email promos, but I recommend starting small and making sure you're researching your genre and then considering how much you're going to spend based on how many other books you have or how many other ones you will sell, which will be more in fiction than nonfiction. So this is a really drilled down version of episode 142. So if you want to go look at links there, I do have a link in there to a list of 100 and something email promo sites. So go to creativewriting.com/142 and you can find that list. Because again, I'm not giving you ones that I think work better than others, because it depends on genre. And I have only looked at the clean romance genre and tested that for the past year. So that's all I've got. And so I'm not going to share that with you guys. It wouldn't be helpful unless you're writing in that genre. So do some research yourself. Head over to that episode. You can also listen to episodes 164 and 165, which talk about fiction and nonfiction and should you promote with money, or how much money should you put behind your first book. And I kind of drill that down because, again, my whole philosophy on this is that you want to bootstrap it first. Don't invest a lot of money when you're not sure you're going to get it back. And as you're just starting out, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I did. And I've gotten better as I've gone along, and I'm still making mistakes, but you're learning from them. But in the very beginning, you're still proving yourself and proving your product or your books. There we go, you guys. Thank you so much for these questions. And if you want to ask questions, you can email me. I'm KirstenOliphant@gmail.com or just Kirsten@creativewriting.com. It's probably easier to remember. You can go to the Facebook group, creativewriting.com/community. I'm getting a little tired here, y'all. Or you can also sign up for my weekly email that goes out on Fridays with links to the podcast episodes, as well as other resources, tips, and tools that you can use. That's creativewriting.com/quick-fix. And you can hit reply to those and I will actually answer you. My inbox is an inbox of death, so I'm a little bit slower than I was, but it's summer. We have 5 kids at home. I can't believe I'm doing anything. So that's my excuse for not necessarily responding back to you, but you can always email me. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com for the music for the show. Please go and check her out if you like what you are hearing at this very moment. Now it's time for you to go out and create content that you love to serve your people well.